Hi there, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So we're going to leave the debut albums alone for a while, might come back to it at a later stage, but what I thought we'd do now is have a look at a subgenre within rock, which has kind of taken a back seat in the last 10 or 20 years. It doesn't really exist anymore. I'm talking about the live album format, and during the 60s, not so much the 60s, maybe the late 60s, the 70s, and parts of the 80s, there were some great iconic live albums that were made by the bands of the day, the top groups and solo artists. I mean, you only have to think about albums like Frampton Comes Alive, Deep Purple, Made in Japan, those kind of albums which became huge, sold a lot of copies, and for many of the artists gave them an extra push in their career. You know, if you had a studio album before the live album, which didn't do so well, and then you had a great live album, that did wonders for you. Vice versa, your live album might boost your next studio album. And there were some great ones. And in fact, it was almost a given that if you were a big band back in the day, in the 70s and the 80s, it was almost compulsory that you released a live album. Some didn't come out as well as others, production-wise. There was also a lot of debate along Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous and Judas Priest Unleashed to the East that they weren't really live. There was a lot of studio trickery going on. For me, they were live albums. I think there was a bit of that going on with most of the live albums, cleaning up the sound or enhancing the vocals or whatever. So that's what we're going to have a look at. We're going to have a look at some great live albums in the next bunch of videos. And I thought I'd kick off with my favorite band, Led Zeppelin. And the one I'm going to chat about is The Song Remains the Same, which is the one that most people know about. It was actually a soundtrack to the movie of the same name. The movie was more of a sort of documentary stroke live concert. It was in Madison Square Gardens in the States in 1973. And then each band member had his own sort of fantasy sequence. Some of them were a bit out there. I think John Bonham's was the most sort of grounded. It was just him at his home with his little boy Jason at the time, and him and his hot rods and building and whatever. And Robert Plant and Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones's ones were a little bit different, definitely in the realms of fantasy. And I think there was even a cameo piece for Peter Grant, the manager, right in the beginning of the movie. So let's talk about The Song Remains the Same. It was recorded between the 27th and the 29th of July in 1973, and it was released on the 28th of September 1976 on the Swan Song label. So there was quite a lengthy period between the actual concert and then the release of the album. The concert venue, as I said, was Madison Square Gardens in New York City. Huge crowd. 1973 was probably when Zeppelin were at their peak. I mean, they could do no wrong. Whatever they released went gold. The guys were at the top of their game. They didn't have at that stage the serious drug issues and health issues they would have later on. But yeah, they were doing really well. The album actually went 4 times platinum in the States, which for a live album is amazing. And for me, it's actually not the best live album that Zeppelin did release. There was one that was released a lot later on, maybe about 10 years ago, but less perhaps, called How the West Was Won. It was also from the same period. Far superior recording. But I guess that The Song Remains the Same is the one that sticks in everybody's mind, and also because it's married up with the video, the movie, that's the one everybody remembers. But if you can get a hold of How the West Was Won, that's the one to look out for. And The Song Remains the Same also went platinum in the UK, in their home country. So they did pretty well with this album. And sometimes, as I said, a live album can be hit or miss. So let's have a look at this baby, see what I can show you. I've still got my original vinyl, which I will not be getting rid of. That's a thing of beauty right there. At the back, you've got all the song titles. And in the middle, you've got this great booklet with some amazing shots. There's John Paul Jones over there. These are all shots from the movie, obviously. Let's see what else I can show you. There we go. There's John Bonham on his motorbike. And then with him with one of his cows. And there he is behind the kit. And that's Robert Plant. And that was with his first wife. And that's what I love about vinyl, these great pictures. And there's the Jimmy Page one with that really strange, I think from Led Zeppelin 4. That was from that, it was taken from that. And there he is with his double neck Gibson. And there we go, some great shots. So that's the vinyl. Then there's the actual movie, and this is the two disc special edition. And this came out, when did this come out? This was in the early 2000s, I think. And regardless, that's it there. It's a double disc. So this has got a whole bunch of extra footage that wasn't in the original movie, extra tracks. But what I found disappointing with this was there was no inside booklet. You know, nothing there. I mean, at the back they tell you the tracks, the special features, but it would have been nice just to have a bit more in the middle, and I'm sure that between them, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, and John Paul Jones should have had something to contribute. But yeah, a great improvement on the original movie. The picture's a lot better. The sound quality is amazing, and definitely want to look out for one of the great live concerts. I mean, like I said, Zeppelin in '73 were just, Robert Plant's voice was amazing. Jimmy Page was there with his guitar, you know, he was iconic. Bonham, the beast behind the kit. And John Paul Jones equally at home behind the keyboards as well as the bass. Just, they're my favorite band for a reason. Then in 2006 and 2007, he spaced them out from the first album right up until In Through the Outdoor and then Coda. Jimmy Page re-released all the Zeppelin stuff. And of course, he had to do The Song Remains the Same, the live album. So this is the deluxe version, remastered and expanded with 6 previously unreleased tracks from the Madison Square Garden, plus new liner notes by Cameron Crowe, a great movie director who was a big fan of Zeppelin. And if you've seen the movie Almost Famous, that's the sort of Cameron Crowe story. There's a piece in there where Zeppelin are playing there. So that was pretty good as well. So there we go. That's the cover. That's also extra shots from the movie. Sorry about the glare. You see the 4 guys. And then there's a booklet inside, which tells you all about, there's some shots, extra shots that you didn't get with the vinyl. Tells you about the making of the album, the movie, the premiere, and all the rest of it. There's Jimmy. See if there's any of the ones that I didn't show you that were... yeah, there's some great shots. It's the only thing with CD, you don't get the whole vinyl experience, but some great shots there, live shots. And see if there's anything else. There we go. These are all shots from the movie, obviously. Massive crowd, really into it as well. So what are the extra tracks on here that you didn't get with the original vinyl? Black Dog, which was a huge hit of Led Zeppelin 4. Over the Hills and Far Away, Misty Mountain Hop, The Ocean, Heartbreaker. How they left that off the original is beyond me. You know, I think if the album originally had these extra tracks on it to begin with, I think it would have done a lot better than what it did, because there's some great tracks that were missing. What else was on here? Since I've Been Loving You, that great blues track. And the rest of the tracks in here are just amazing staples from Zeppelin and that had to be played. Rock and Roll, Celebration Day, Black Dog, like I mentioned, Over the Hills and Far Away, Misty Mountain Hop, Since I've Been Loving You, No Quarter, that eerie track with that keyboard intro from John Paul Jones. He was a great keyboardist. I think he was using a Mellotron there. The Song Remains the Same, the Rain song, The Ocean. And then on the second disc here, you get Dazed and Confused, that lengthy track from their first album, Stairway to Heaven. The only track by Zeppelin that I really never need to hear again, I think I've heard that a million times. Moby Dick, the John Bonham drum showcase where he lets rip, to me, my favorite drummer. Heartbreaker, and then of course Whole Lot of Love with that whole middle piece. And in Dazed and Confused as well on here, and you see it in the movie with Jimmy with his violin bow on his Gibson Les Paul. So yeah, as live albums go, this is a great one. It's not the best, like I said. How the West Was One for me is a better one, sound-wise. But if you can get the video, the movie of this, you'll see why they were so great and what made Zeppelin so special and put them on that pedestal. I don't think we'll ever see the likes of them again. You know, that particular era of rock is unfortunately long gone. They influenced so many bands. If I can think of a modern day band that took a lot of influence from them, is Rival Sons, especially because in Jay Buchanan they have such an excellent singer, very much like a Robert Plant. But yeah, sadly, when John Bonham passed on, that was it. You know, the guys were like a family, and I don't think they could have carried on with any other drummer. So there we go, the first of our look at some great live albums. Next time around, we're going to have a look at one of the, I did mention in the beginning, a live album that actually catapulted this guy's career. He'd made a few albums before that. He was in a famous band as well called Humble Pie. So yes, I'm talking about Peter Frampton's Frampton Comes Alive. And that's the one we will be checking out next time. Hope you've enjoyed this. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed, down below, just click on the button. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, and any comments are always welcome. Pros or cons, I've got big shoulders, I can take it. Look after yourselves, take it easy out there, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.